Welcome back. The announcement of the cabinet shows that those who have been fighting in President Cyril Ramaphosa's corner now have jobs as ministers. At the Nasrec conference, Senzo Mchunu lost out to Ace Magashule, Secretary General, but afterwards was posted permanently to Luthuli House in a move that was seen to neutralize Magashule. Similar was the appointment of Zizi Kodwa as the head of the presidency in the ANC. Both Kodwa and Mchunu are now in cabinet. The likes of Bathabile Dlamini and Nomvula Mokonyane have been snubbed. What does this mean for Ramaphosa and his supporters? Professor Tinyiko Maluleka as well as Professor Kwandiwe Kondlo join me in studio to discuss this. Professor Tinyiko, let me start with you. Should the president be worried?
Well, the president should always be worried given the nature of the job that he has. It's a job that one needs to constantly worry about taking the country forward, leaving a good legacy, making sure that he achieves the agenda that he has set for himself. He's had 18 months to tell us what his agenda is. We know about Tumamina, we know about his corruption busting, we know also about the importance of the economy for him. So you know, he should always be worried. It's not a kind of job that you want a person to go there and relax. But he should also worry about the relationship between Luthuli House and the union buildings, as all presidents must worry.
And the emphasis, of course, even from the Nasrec conference, has been that the center of power lies at Luthuli House. And I wonder whether the president may have left Luthuli House vulnerable, considering that you have the likes of Senzo Mchunu as well as Zizi Kodwa, who are now permanently stationed as ministers in his cabinet.
Yeah, there is cause for concern as far as that is concerned. But, you know, I'm not sure whether it is necessary to have someone at Luthuli House to look out for you, as it were, which is what is implied in your question. I don't know that it is necessary. But then that's the only approach.
But then we need to go back to and ask ourselves, why was that step taken in the first place? Why was the step taken to have Zizi Kodwa there as head of the presidency in the ANC? Why was that step taken to have Senzo Mchunu as well permanently stationed at Luthuli House?
Yeah, I suppose at that time maybe it was felt that they were needed, that they needed to do a job at that time, and that now that he is president, he can do the job in a different way. Yeah. So, look, I'm not denying the importance of Luthuli House for a president, but there are many ways of looking after and looking at Luthuli House than having a number of people, if you like, who sort of are your representatives there. It is a very, there are many ways of doffing one's head at Luthuli House. There are many ways of a president in making sure that Luthuli House and the ANC are always taken care of in terms of what they need, that he factors the needs of the party in all his decisions. There are so many other ways of doing that. I don't think we should limit it to having one or two people in Luthuli House.
Professor Kwandiwe, do you agree with that? Is this concern misplaced, that Luthuli House could have been left vulnerable?
Yeah, I don't think it's being left vulnerable. You see, I think the strategy really is to have one center of power, which is well capacitated, which actually explains why Senzo Mchunu was moved to Luthuli House, Zizi Kodwa, and President Ramaphosa taking over from former President like Jacob Zuma. Yeah, now they've been moved into the formal state, into government. And there's always this constant relationship between Luthuli House and the union building, which for now, I would say let's watch and see. I think Cyril is going to be able to manage this. And I think President Ramaphosa is very careful of the fact that, look, there could be some forces that seek to remobilize a fight-back agenda from the platforms of Luthuli House.
So the possibility is there.
He's very aware of that. And I don't think really moving Zizi Kodwa and Senzo Mchunu to government leaves Luthuli House just open for any sinister forces to mobilize themselves.
Professor Tinyuko, how long do you think this seemingly well-capacitated ANC of ANC would last, considering that you have the likes of Batabile Dlamini as well as Nomvula Mokonyane, who are now, I think, who would now have a lot of time on their hands to regroup, for instance?
Yeah, look, I mean, the wounded you will always have in the ANC. The characters who are wounded may change and the personalities may change, but you will always have a group of wounded people, partly because there is not enough positions in cabinet to give to everyone, but also if you have a set of criteria, you have to choose. And Cyril Ramaphosa does seem like a person who has an agenda, who has chosen as much as he can, who he could choose. I don't think he always got the person he wanted in every position. And so those wounded people will have a lot of time. But I think that, you know, it is the science of being the ANC president.
Yeah.
The last ANC president who was almost all-powerful was Jacob Zuma, in the sense that he could wake up in the middle of the night and appoint a minister. But those times are gone. And in many ways, that legacy of Zuma is coming home to bite Cyril Ramaphosa, because the ANC will no longer allow their president to be that powerful. So it's a negotiation, it's a constant dance, negotiation, if you like, between Luthuli House and the union buildings. And nobody is more able to do that dance, I think, than Cyril Ramaphosa.
Professor Gwandi, do you think that having the likes of Nomvula Mokonyane or even Batabile Dlamini or even the likes of Ace at Luthuli House creates an informal structure that would perhaps even keep in check the exercise of the president's power? Like, for instance, we speak about the appointment of certain people to certain positions. Professor Tinyuko says that the president may have not gotten every person that he wanted to be in that particular position. Could it be because of the role that's played by some of these people, including the likes of Ace Magashule, who have been seen to be fighting in the corner of former President Jacob Zuma?
Look, I'm not sure what you mean by an informal structure. Because
an informal structure that says that if the top six, for instance, meet and discuss the names that the president will be putting into his cabinet, that you have this group that also says these people must also be included. David Mahlobo must also be there.
Yeah, but it's part of the iterations you find in any political party. Especially with the ANC, we know very well that there's been factional contestation. And that contestation is not really over. That's why you'll find that, look, in some instances, the Secretary General will push this particular line, and the others will be pushing another line. Yes, yes, it's factions. They are a threat to the ANC, but I don't think we must also overanalyze it and personalize it. Yes, that because there is Nomvula here, there is Ace Magashule here, then this and that. I think that's very simplistic analysis. Let's look at the system, the politics of it that is taking place, rather than looking at individuals.
Well, the next question is actually based on individuals as well, and this is the Premier League. We were told that does not exist anymore. But if you look at Ace Magashule being the Secretary General of the party, you look at Didi Mabuza being the Deputy President of the ANC and Deputy President of the country, and then you look at Supra Maumabilu. Do you think that there's a possibility of even a regrouping, because now you have these three former leaders of what's being considered to be the Premier League also being in positions that are quite different, but could have some influence?
If there's a possibility of regrouping, my question would be, what would be the agenda for that regrouping? Yes, and for now, I don't see the agenda, because I think the rise of Cyril Ramaphosa has actually covered and neutralized quite a number of forces, be they radical, the Communist Party, be the former Zuma faction, be the new Cyril Ramaphosa faction. even in terms of composition of cabinet, if you look at it carefully, even in terms of the policy agenda that President Ramaphosa is coming up with, it actually talks to a number of issues around which certain sections would actually regroup and formulate an agenda. So I'll be very interested to see how these former Premier League members, so-called, are actually going to regroup and around which agenda. It's not clear at the moment.
Professor Tinyiko, what's your take on this?
Look, there are certain things that even Ramaphosa cannot change. For example, the ANC conference chose Ace Magashule as General Secretary and Jesse Duarte as Deputy. They also chose Didi Mabuza as Deputy President of the party. Those are givens with which President Ramaphosa has to work. He cannot change that, at least for the next 5 years. So I think we must just appreciate the limitations that he has, but also appreciate the dynamic nature of group formation. So, you know, the Premier League as such may no longer exist, may never exist again. But the possibility of groups forming around an issue, the wounded allying themselves around a personality, that is always there. It's a given. It's the nature of the political animal that the ANC is and that South Africa is. And the president will have to manage that.
Quick question, yes or no, and I know I'm asking for a simplistic view on this. Earlier on we had Pule Mabe, who said that the Integrity Commission can make recommendations to the NEC for the removal of a person who's been elected to a certain position. And I wonder, with the allegations against Secretary General Ace Magashule, whether the Integrity Commission would even go as far and say that you must step down. Yes or no? Is that the possibility?
Yes, it is a possibility.
It is a possibility, Professor Tinyiko? Is it a possibility? I know it's very simplistic. Yes or no?
You know, the Integrity Committee is an internal structure of the ANC. And as far as everything I've read about it is that it is subservient to the NEC.
Yeah.
So the question you are asking is giving the Integrity Committee more power than I have even heard the chairperson of the Integrity Committee say they have power.
Well, a Treasurer General of a certain province has been asked to step aside. That's the power that the Integrity Commission has. After the break, spinners and spanners, cabinet is not the summers. People must not be rewarded for work done previously.